Hey everyone, Mherex here, bringing you another video. This one is going to be the boss battle breakdown vid. Recording it on Twitch as per usual, so there will be interaction with the chat and all that. This is my lineup and what it's going to look like. It doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be what you run or that kind of thing. So first off, boss attributes, power gems. 22.5 times boost. For the most part, these are a trap. I'll explain why later. Outside of, and this is assuming you're trying to clear 23s, Drew is the only power gem user, new striker Drew, that I would consider, but you would have to be very careful with that. We'll talk about that later. Yellow gems. This should be your primary focus. They got a 15 times buff. And also needed for the shield. 170 yellow gems is a very large amount to be broken. Multiply gems do 1,000% less damage. The way I take this to mean, I cannot guarantee this is accurate, but based on the text, I would assume somebody like Nakamura will still create a times 10 multiply gem. Just when you swipe it, it will do 0 damage. Moves that generate trap gems will create 100 less trap gems, meaning unless it's an area of traps, it will not work. So, no KO, for example, because he will generate 0 trap gems. However, LA Knight's blue move, that's an area of traps, should work just fine. Boss is dealing 5 million damage, this is at level 23, per turn. That means you're looking at pretty fast death without certain things. Oh, by the way, the boss has 1.66 billion health. Not going to be easy to win fast, so you're going to need some important things for this boss. We talked about the yellow shield already. It's massive. 170 yellow gems. This goes out on the boss's first turn, every 2 turns after that. Heal. The boss heals himself for 20% of their max HP, which is 320 million. This happens on the boss's second turn, and then I believe it's every other turn after that. And finally, the kicker for your power gems deals 50 million damage for every charged black MP. If you have any black MP, you're going to kill your whole team. So, if you bring anyone with a black move, you better win on turn 1. Or magically make sure it's empty every single time. So don't lag out. Don't forget to click. Don't mistime it. Don't cascade. And basically, in short, you shouldn't bring a black move. There may be some exceptions to this. We'll talk about that again. Oh, read it again. If you have any black MP, anyone on your entire team, even one, your team will take 50 million damage to everyone. All right. However, it is my assumption that since double exhaust negates all damage, if you have 2 max exhausts, you could theoretically run black gem damage and be just fine, because it negates damage. So, it reduces the boss's damage by 50%. 45-second cooldown, it stacks. So if you have 2 people running a max exhaust, you're taking 0 damage. I'm assuming that works on the black move too. I do not know that for a fact. So you could still blow up. But if you really want to try it, bring double exhaust. Okay. This boss, 1.6 billion health, is a lot. He hits super hard. I'll tell you right now, power gem guys are not going to work. The good one, like, for level 23s. I think Hall of Fame Sarge could be okay for 17s and lower. But if you're trying to go into the 6-star range, no power gem guys. The only reason Drew, and I mentioned Striker Drew, the new one, is he can roughly get his power gems to about 150 million per swipe. So I think theoretically 2 Drews could potentially get there. But I don't... It's going to be really close, right? The problem is you will have to break the shield if you don't win on turn 1, and you will also need your moves empty. So it's a very big risk. Personally, I won't be starting a boss with any black moves on my team. So if I notice somebody has a black move equipped, I just am not going to start it, right? Not going to do it. I would expect 3, 4, 5 turn wins. That means getting this shield down ASAP is going to be crucial. So think about boss like you would if you've ever played an MMO. You have a very specific role. You got your damage dealers, you got your healers or essentially boss breaker guys, and then you got your shield breaker guys, right? If you don't do your job, you don't win. So what does that mean? Well, if you're going 4 turns deep, that's 20 million health. You're not going to have enough health. So you need exhaust or healing. So double exhaust will keep you alive the longest. Exhaust and healing would also be good. Those both should get you to the 4 turn range, no problem, and beyond. The problem with the max exhaust is a lot of them are not good shield breakers. So when you look at this aggressive in particular, aggressive is going to be a very hard, useful fill for most people. If you run Taker, because he's your max exhaust guy, do not bring the black buff. Run him with the sub and do a Titan plate build. In boss only, subs will proc plates. So technically you can get multiple Titan procs with this and grow your damage a little bit and do some okay damage. The downside is he's not helping very much at all with those 170 gems. But if you have max exhaust, that's fine. I think better choice this time around is somebody like Powerhouse Hogan. I know a lot of people don't have him. There'll be others, don't worry. He's set up this way because wildcard gems, this counts as 23 yellows. Wildcard counts as every color. So when you hit this, it's 23 yellows plus whatever yellows it connects to. IRS adds 5 extra. I like Big John Stud here for the 1 extra yellow MP. And then any 2 zombie trainers gets you to 23. 1 yellow match loads this. We're also going to talk about strategy in this. If you're not one of the crazy good damage dealers and your job is the shield, you need to set up to be ready to break that shield as fast as possible on turn 2. What that means is you would want this move loaded and ready to go at the start of turn 2 so you can click it instantly. Your job is to get the shield down. Your damage doesn't matter. It's helpful, sure, but it doesn't matter compared to that shield going down. Alright, who else? I really like Zombie Lashley this time. His animations, yes, they're slow, but he can break a lot of yellow gems and be useful on that shield. Obviously, you'd set him up, reinforce, have the reinforces down, have the snowfalls down. As soon as turn 2 starts, change them all yellow, right? Low charge on the red MP is great, so I would actually run him Sting, and then flat yellow, flat reinforce, and the same over here, flat yellow, flat reinforce. Yes, the wildcard move will almost always refill itself. It just has to connect to 1 yellow. Or, yeah, 1 yellow. Correct. So generally you can spam it, Lux. After this, it gets kind of actually fairly shaky, guys. So Sarge, you should not have max exhaust. Yes, he can do some damage, probably. I think he can maybe get, when all of his stuff is out, assuming you use the best power gem trainers, maybe up to like 55, 60 mil a swipe, something like that. Yeah, Bulldog with Lashley, correct. However, you're going to be 0 help on the shield, and there is no reason to spend your exhaust currency on this guy, right? That's my big issue with him. At lower levels, shield may not be as big a struggle, right? And exhaust might not be as big a deal. Cam, I'm recording a boss battle one, so I won't be able to answer ones like that during this video. Afterwards, sure. So again, it gets very slim pickings. If for some reason you have Batista up there, to where you can use him, he could be okay on the shield. He's dropping 16 yellow gems. It's a lowish charge. You can recycle a little bit. You could put like Viper Strike, or that's not Viper Strike, the General's Orders, red to yellow, to start getting back to the destroy, things like that. Not going to be great, but he could, if he's your exhaust guy. I'm just throwing it out there. Max exhaust is going to be more important than crappy shield breaker, if that makes sense, right? Because of the damage. So your best character for this one is your max exhaust guy. In a perfect world, it's somebody that can also help with the shield, like Lashley or Hogan. So if you don't have one of those guys, bring your max exhaust if you're trying to beat 23s, right? There's just not a lot of great choices beyond that. There's some okay ones. If you have anyone with a yellow choose and he's your max exhaust guy, go ahead and use them. Yellow area, yellow randoms, that sort of thing. There's just not a lot here. Some other ones I think in this category, if you have him leveled up, is what's his face? Captain Lou is solid. Again, you got to stay away from black moves. That kind of nixes Priest mostly. And again, I don't know why you'd have him 6-star with your exhaust build. Captain Lou can make a lot of yellows, so you could help with the shield. But yeah. So that's about it there. Your shield and your exhaust are the important things. So you should be set up and ready to break that shield, and make sure your exhausts are always going out. Defensive is the easiest one to come up with some big damage guys. Apollo will be great with the Piper Plate, and you only will be using 2 moves. Ignore the blue move. You'll just use these 2. And you will spam it over and over. You never want to swipe, so you're always making his damage bigger. He will grow the gem damage every time. 600% per cycle, the equivalent to like 3 Titan buffs, plus it's the yellow color in most of the board. You do have to choose to destroy, but I think you should be able to do 2 cycles a turn with this. Entourage I'll be running on Apollo is this one right here. Cena, Dom, Taker for flat, and Braun. 1 yellow match will get this loaded, and then you're going to swipe. We will talk about Regal Nakamura when we get to the focused, but yes. I don't have him, but that is the build for Regal. 2 greens, just spam them over and over. Do not use the sub, because multiply gems will make you hit for 0. Asuka better than Cena? No. Asuka's move damage. Cena's 45% yellow gem damage. So, okay, Mherex, I don't have Clubber. If you happen to have Icon JBL, Titan Plate build that's really good. Right here. Except this would be Dom. But purples, load this. 18 blast gems into yellow. Solid Titan build for JBL. A lot of people don't have him, aware of that. Hall of Fame Triple H will be very, very good damage. If you have an ultimate strap, Hunter's Plate, Piper Plate. These are low charge. 5 MP, super low charge. You're going to get a lot of buffs. I would run him this way. Flat yellow, flat yellow. Sorry, this way. Kofi gets you loaded and ready to go. Flat yellow, 100% reinforce. Did I miss Rosie unfocused? Yes, 100% Rosie on aggressive. Is Rosie aggressive? Did I miss him? If he's focused, I haven't done it yet. He's focused. I haven't done Rosie yet. So, calm down. But yes, Rosie. Try not to get ahead of where I'm at. Also, if you don't have one of those three, you're like, Mherex, I don't have one of those three. They're hard to get. What's a free-to-play person supposed to do? There's one really easy answer. That's Lex here. He's awesome for this. At 5-star gold, he's going to make 30 yellow gems. He's going to buff his yellows 60% for 2 turns. That's okay, Mike. No big deal. You will want matchy-match trainers. So, like, if you have it, Montez and X-Pac on the red, so that when you make the snowfalls red, it refills the red. I am not going to go beyond Lex after this, because everybody has Lex. He has a awesome 5-star gold ability, and he is Attitude Era, which can be rough, and he fits all of the Lex requirements. I get it if you don't want to take him 6-star, but there isn't going to be a better option than Lex as you look at the rest of these, except for LA Knight would be really good. Yeah, Zombie Dom, there'd be no reason to use him unless he's your max heal and you simply can't afford to put any resources into Lex. Lex will be way better, right? I get it if you can't afford the 6-star tech defensive shards for Lex, if you don't have shards saved for him, if you don't have tokens. I get that. No, Trick Sammy is much worse than Lex. Can you use him? He makes yellows, yes. But you have Lex on your roster, so there's no reason not to use him unless you don't have resources. You know your roster better than me, in which case you can use anyone that makes yellow gems, but they're not going to be good. They will just help break the shield. But LA Knight with these 2 moves will be quite good. Yeah, so one of the things I do with these videos is once there's a very good, clear, best, like, free-to-play option, there is very little reason to go farther. Because if you want to do well in boss, you have to level the characters that do well. So you either level him or you don't. And then you're just, after that, everyone else is much more subpar that you have options for, right? So you could use Cesaro, you could use, I think Austin makes yellows, right? And stuff, but they're not good. Especially compared to Lex with the buff. He recycles, he grows his gem damage. There's really no reason to look farther if you don't have one of the top guys, right? Top guys being like Apollo or Hall of Fame Triple H, and then what's his face with the Piper plate as well, LA Knight. They'll all be good. So that kind of covers your defensive. Lex, if you don't have those top guys, if you don't have the Piper plate, because he can buff and grow his stuff. All right. Okay. Oh, let's talk about breakers on defensive. If you have it, healing is really the only one that looks good at this point to me. So helping hand is the way to go, right? Helps heal your team is just good. Chaotic, there's a clear winner to me, and that's because we talked about how many gems are on the shield. HBK's finisher refills itself. You can just spam it over and over. Very likely, you could get this 3 times, and actually he could possibly come close to clearing the shield himself. You don't want to waste the whole turn of 0 damage doing that, but he will be insanely good for shield breaking. Also, if you put the Triple H plate on him, you can grow. Yeah, it's a black move, JDS. So if you want to kill your whole team, you can use that. So yeah, he's like what I would say is the best option in this slot. Second best option would be Zombie Edge, I think. So if you have Zombie Edge, he's a great second option. Run him like this. Again, his more focus is breaking the shield. So the start of turn 2, in a perfect world, you would have your countdown gems out, your finisher is filled, and as soon as turn 2 starts, you click your finisher, blow up the board with yellow gems. He can also grow. I think this will be better than Seth. Seth isn't going to make a lot of yellow gems, FOD. This is a whole board. And Seth, while he can do damage, isn't doing a ton compared to the other guys, right? So I would rate Edge higher, personally. So Edge is how I would go here as number 2. with a Z plate and or the Triple H plate. Number 3, I would say, and I hate saying it, is Veer. Flats. Flats are working in Boss great, so feel free to proceed with flats. Number 3, I would say, would be Veer with a braid, and I hate saying it, but Veer with a braid. He can make 19x breaks into yellow gems. So he can do some recycling, make a bunch of yellows, and also buff his damage. So I like Veer at number 3. Number 4, I would say, is Seth with a Titan build. Likely one of the ones I would run if I didn't have HBK, though, because I'm comfortable with it. Titan build with this kind of setup. He chucks randos, so he's fast. Gets a decent amount of yellows out there. He's a good option. I think a good option. Not as good on the shield, though. If you absolutely have to, I don't like him for an option. You could technically run KO this way and get some yellows out there with a Titan build, but it's not going to set the world on fire. I feel like if you're running KO in this slot, at this point, you're maybe being kind of lazy, because if you have KO, you probably also have Seth, and Seth is a much better choice. So there's that. Who else now? Lawler, I guess. His yellow is random, but a lot of people have the tokens, shards, whatever. So if you have to, if you're lacking those other guys, he can help with the shield. I don't know, Brother Ray. I want to say yes. I think yes, he will be. I'm going to say yes. Macho, you can't do anything because of the multiplies. There's 0 damage, so no. Did we come up with anybody else, really? Trying to think if there is anyone else. No, I think that's about it. Maybe Ghostbuster Austin, if he can make a bunch of yellows. I don't know. I don't have him. I didn't look at him because he's pretty rare, to be honest. Oh, yeah. You could also do JBL, I suppose, if you add him 6-star. This kind of setup could get some yellows out there to help with the shield. And he also has this move. Well, it's not great. It's not worse. Yeah, Hall of Fame Ted's focus, Lux. Calm down. We'll get there again. So we have focus left. So, yeah. And again, keep in mind, all of this is with 23s in mind. At this one, I really like Healer Steel because the boss is going to be healing for 320 million. Healer Steel stacks. You can hit it as soon as it's up because it reduces the effectiveness of the boss's next heal. So no reason to hold your Healer Steel. Spam it when it's up. It also stacks. Judgment Day Finn is pretty... Technically, I could see it if you just spammed the sub, which makes yellow gems. So literally you could just spam the sub, make sure and you have at least one yellow matchy-match trainer, so Dom, so every 3 match loads the sub. He's only making 8 randoms, but once he gets going, you should have a board full of yellows, so he's probably an okay option too. If you have him though, I got a feeling you have some of the other options we've talked about, but maybe you got lucky and pulled him, so it's an okay one. You would just literally spam the sub over and over. And it would be somewhat helpful with the shield. Or like if he was somebody you had invested in Healer Steel or extra time, because extra time is always useful. So if you had a very high extra time on him for some reason, or Healer Steel, I could see it. Because those breakers are useful, right? Which brings us to Focused. Nakamura-san. If the multiply gems work the way I think they will, you can run that build set. He's probably going to hit for, if you have a really good setup, maybe 300 million. That's not anywhere close to 1.66 billion. So my thought process, and this will depend on your group, is run this simply because when it comes to taking the shield down, you're going to get it down faster. And this recycles itself, and then you can just go back to spamming this move. It, like, recycles really easy. So while it's not going to hit as hard, I feel like depending, and this is depending on your group composition, this could be the better play to make you win easier. Now, if you have a bunch of heavy hitters, and you could run your Nakamura with the buff move, get your like 300 million in, and they can finish them off, that's fine. Assuming you can get the shield down. But 170 yellow gems is a lot. So keep that in mind and adjust as needed. If you have Regal, he's the play here. Straight up, best option. I'm 80 shards away, so I don't have him yet. I believe you would run him green. Stay away from the sub, because multiplies make 0 damage. So you would put your green pyros out, and then you would lay the green over them, and just spam it back and forth, over and over and over with the Piper Pyro plate. You should be able to get lots of stacks using those two moves, and great for the shield, great for damage. I see like him, Hall of Fame Triple H, and Apollo being the big carry guys for this one. Outside of, and we'll talk about it again, right? So maybe Goldberg Triple Green could do stuff, but he won't help you break the shield. But that's another power gem name I'll throw out there as you could mess with. Just make sure you have enough to get the shield down. Anyway, going back up here to guys I do have and can show you. In a pinch, if you, Hollywood, a ton of people have access to now, he can make some wild cards with the finisher. Obviously, don't use the black move, right? For sure, don't use the black move. I'll just put this in there so nobody gets confused. He can make at least a 3x3 area wild cards. It's not great. It is some yellows. The boss breakers on this one are the least impactful this time around, so I would try to have somebody that can do work on the shield or do really good damage like Nakamura and work on the shield. But you have to do what you have to do, right? So who else? Sheamus, technically, he can blow up the board with his cross break build. Not going to do a ton of damage, but yeah. Rock is trap gems, no go. Kind of a, you could do Cena here. I know some people have taken him 6-star. The sub again works for Titan build, so you could Titan build him. Choose yellows here, right? That could work a little bit. Not horrible compared to some of the options, I guess. Zombie Sean, yes, with the countdown move. Just throw the countdowns out, swipe, swipe, swipe. Board turns yellow. Good shield breaker. And it recycles itself. Countdowns out. Break, break, break. Worst case, I like Rosie. Rosie, good damage guy. If you have the Piper plate, you can absolutely use Rosie for damage. If you don't have the Piper plate, you can absolutely use Rosie to help on the shield. Rosie's a very good pick. Very good. So like Rosie either way. Damage, he should be very strong with the Piper plate, and without it, he's still very good for the shield. Drew in a pinch, sure. His finisher can put yellows on the board. At least it's something if you have him built already. Hall of Fame Ted is kind of interesting. A couple people said they have him 6-star. You can get some loot boxes out there and make them wild cards. Those will count for yellow. This counts for yellow. This is low charge. So if you have him 6-star, this boss breaker isn't necessarily important, or you can take him 6-star shard free and stuff. Go for it. Could maybe help out a little bit. The moveset I showed Mr. Bungle. I'll go right back to Rosie here. The Leech Gem moveset makes the yellows. Also gets your pyros out. So right there. Low charge, so very easy to load. It's just great in boss. I guess his animations are terrible, but he can make a lot of yellows. Everybody's got him. Animations are heckin' slow, though. Does Dexter do yellows? I don't remember Dexter doing a bunch of yellows. Does he do a bunch? I know the green set. Also, does he do a bunch of... Is a silence build yellow? Maybe? 30... Oh, yeah! Heck yeah! Big Mike, good shout. Where's his silencers? 4x4 trap, green, submission. Where do all of his silence gems come from? Am I being blind? Silence, silence. Oh, no, you can't use Dexter. Black move. Can't use Dexter. Black move. Sadly. Nope. Dexter not an option. Good thought, though. Doesn't the sub only leave like 8? Yeah, 7. It's only 7 gems on the sub. Not enough. But if you had him 6-star, I guess 7 yellows is better than nothing. If that was the best you had, right? Oh. For some reason, I'm sure there's a Stone Cold mark out there somewhere that has him 6-star. He can make a bunch of reinforces into yellow gems. So you can get like potentially what, 22, which is very choosy. But I'm sure somebody will be happy about that. Not saying to use him, by the way. I'm just saying if that's what you're down to, at least he can affect the shield. And I think that's about it at Focus. So, gonna recap this quick. Power gem guys, unless you have Drew, I would lay off them. Sarge potentially for like 17s and lower. The only reason I don't like Sarge for 23s is because I don't see any way. Yes, yes, yes. We rock. Thank you so much. I don't see any way that his damage will make up for not breaking the shield and not helping you from getting hit, right? So a perfect kind of group composition would really be like an exhaust guy maxed out, somebody like Hall of Fame Triple H here or Apollo here, if you can get away with it, Regal here, maybe like a Nakamura here, right? And then Hall of Fame HBK here to break the shield. Like this would actually be a really great composition. You could substitute Zombie Bob here. Anything like that would be great. You could change this, like, we're talking perfect world here, right? You could do, you know, bring Lex in even if he's 6-star, but like in a perfect world, you'd run something like this, Regal here. Of course, you have to do what you have to do, right? But so Nakamura, if I was running the blues like this, I would do yellow matchy match to start, more yellows on the board and get this matched. So yellow matchy match, you start with 1, a 3 matches 5, it's 6, it gets you loaded, so you're good to go. So Dom, and then yellow percentages everywhere for this, as well as choose to get more yellow gems. So I would likely go Acrodom, Dolph, actually, hold on, 2, 3, how much is that, 6? No, I changed my mind. Showboat Cena would go here. And then Dolph here. Yeah. And then that might be too much choose. So let me check this again. For me, I would go Cena. Whatever yellow percentage is the highest that you have besides Cena here. I would go yellow generate here, so that for me would be Zombie Steamboat. If you don't have Steamboat, it's Hall of Fame Booker T. If you don't have Hall of Fame Steamboat or, I'm sorry, if you don't have Zombie Steamboat or Hall of Fame Booker T, then go back to using Dolph. And then Strowman for 25% in the last slot, because this is the one you're buffing right here. If you don't have Strowman, or you don't have, you know, whatever, then I guess you could go flat if all else fails. But you want to stay away from flat on this one because it doesn't do as much. And that's how I'd run them with this build set, because it would recycle perfectly. This is the trickier one. Usually people run this with like heavy machinery. You could also do like a honky tonk man kind of thing with this one. And this is where you stack your multiplies on. With this one, it's a little bit harder setup. I don't run it in boss battle because I usually end up using Roman. So right off the top, I would say you're gonna want... I would probably just go double MP trainer. And then try and get your match, your green and your blue match, whichever one you get first, and go that route. And then stack the yellow percentage where you can on Nakamura. Again, it depends on your composition. I kind of like getting the yellows out and just being able to spam that way and helping with the shield, right? So, yeah. But I think this is going to be one of the hardest bosses, simply because of the health. So keep that in mind. Try and have good setup. Try and get done as much as you can. Boss is always a learning experience. I feel like this one is going to be very, very hard. There's not a ton of like lights out carry people as far as the damage goes. So try to remember your role, and keep in mind, if you have double exhaust, you can grind the boss down with people that can grow their damage. The boss will be healing though, so it's going to be tough. And I think that's pretty much what I have for you guys. Clutch breakers are going to be healer steel, exhaust, preferably double exhaust, but exhaust heal is also great combo. So, and again, your damage doesn't really matter in this slot. No one is big enough to make up for the lack of exhaust because the boss is hitting so hard. So don't go into this thinking the only way I'm going to win is if I do the most damage with every possible person I use. That's not the case. You need to play your people correctly for their roles and keep your team alive, because you can't do damage if you're dead. So yeah. Would the 3x7 be better so you can keep hitting the blue move for each yellow gem on Naka? What about Honky Tonk Man? Does Honky Tonk Man even make yellows? And which one are you referring to? There's multiples. The 3x3? What are you talking about? 3x3? 3x7? The Destroy? I mean, theoretically, yeah, you can do this, but then you're dependent on what's on the bottom of the board. So I don't particularly like it. No reason to use Striker Honky Tonk Man, because you should be using Lex instead. At the defensive slot. So, I mean, you could use this, but it's completely board dependent. You're not going to get a bunch of yellows on multiplies, which is where his damage really comes from, because a 10 multiply gem counts for 10 yellows. Plus, when you're breaking these multiply gems, you're doing 0 damage. Yes, Tech Luger, sir. You can watch the video if you missed the start, because I went over Luger in depth. So yeah, yes, Captain Lou is mentioned. He's in this slot, so unless your Lou has a max exhaust, he's an okay shield breaker. He's not gonna blow you away damage wise. His move animation is slow, so I consider him a shield breaker. And this slot, you need your exhaust maxed, preferably exhaust max and a shield breaker. So that's the least way to need to be carried here. is have a max exhaust that can assist with the shield. Barring that, have a max exhaust. Defensive, you need, this is the damage slot big time. Here it's either Nakamura or Regal for big damage. Also Rosie can do good damage. And here it's breaking the shield is the focus, and HBK is the star there. Also Zombie Edge, Veer, Mutant Seth with the blast build, that kind of thing. But yeah, that's what I got for this boss. It's gonna be rough. It's a Wednesday boss, so I'll be streaming it tomorrow at my normal time, so you can feel free to see how it goes for me then. Other than that, guys, I hope you found this helpful, and remember to like, subscribe, and share, because that really helps me out. Thanks for watching, guys, and good luck out there. Wow, can you believe the amazing content from Mherex Gaming on this boss battle? I know I can't.